guest for today's program is the owner of Laguna Choppers, the bike builder and vintage restorer, Mr. Elmer Reyes. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone.
Yes, sir. The listeners are now very excited and curious to know as to what age you have started riding a motorcycle.
I started riding a long time ago when I was 10 years old. I was pretty young that time. Although I'm not allowed, I was just borrowing a bike from a friend of mine. So that started it all.
Yes, at this young age, at the age of 10, could you recall the thrill and excitement that you have had?
I still have that same exact feeling until now, that I'm over 40 years old, and that feeling when I was 10, the first time I rode a bike, the freedom is so different from riding, a four-wheel vehicle, and one has to experience it to be able to, to define how it is to ride a motorcycle.
And to be passionate.
And another is to be passionate about it.
And can we talk about your passion for bikes, sir? Is this in line with the passion, of course? Is this the main reason why you plunge into this kind of business?
Yeah, when I was starting, it was just plainly a hobby. I mean, I love motorcycles. When I was starting over the weekend, way back in 1995, all I do is just to fix my bike as part of my relaxation. And then people are laughing at me because they were old and they were trying to tell me, why don't I just buy a new one so that I won't have any headache and all. So that never stopped me. People are laughing at what I do, but when they started seeing it run, and when they started seeing it after being painted, everything was all different. They started appreciating it.
Yes,
yeah.
They started appreciating it, and then that's when you had this thinking that this could be translated into business.
Not immediately.
Not immediately.
Not immediately. It took me about 8 years. 8 years actually to realize that
Why not?
Yeah, why not? There was a point in my real job when the economy went down and we were really affected in that business. But I have seen and experienced that people are coming in to see me and having their bikes fixed and all. And I said, why don't I just do this as a business? I mean, anyway, I enjoy it so much, and there's not much pressure. I mean, unlike my other job, I mean, I've had a lot of stress and pressure on it, but this one, I feel like I'm playing every day. Yeah.
It started with collecting first the motorcycles.
Yes.
Before you introduce this business to the public.
Yeah.
And then so far, so now is 2013. What year have you started with this kind of business?
The business itself started around 1999 or 2000. It was just like a half-baked business, If somebody would come in, then
you would
accept it.
Accept.
Yeah, we don't have a license in those days. So when people started coming in, and then I realized I really have to organize everything and make it as a business. So the whole formal business that we have, the name Laguna Choppers, started around 2000, 2001.
2001, so now it's practically 12 years already.
Yes.
So what do you concentrate most, since you knew already how to restore bikes? Do you also build as well? If people come to you and tell you that, sir, please build this bike of mine, do you also accept that?
Yes. With the name Laguna Choppers, actually, Choppers is a different bike. That's why they're kind of confused. I'm building scooters, but
As
my
well.
name, I mean the business name is Laguna Choppers. I started it because I love choppers. I mean, I like to build something out of nothing. Well, when you say choppers, it's not necessarily mean chop in the sense that you chop everything and put
Okay.
it back. I mean, it comes from different bikes. I mean, parts from different bikes, and then you use it, or you try to come up with an idea from anything out of an ordinary faucet that you'll add on to the bike just to make it look unique. So that's a chopper.
That's the chopper.
But with this, you bring it back to its original status, original scene, or the original state
Body.
and the body and everything. So it's a two definitely, literally different bike. I mean, a chopper
and
a
the vintage.
scooter.
And when you say it's vintage, how old is the bike?
This time of the year, actually, it's 2013. And in the old days, I mean, 20, 30 years ago, it's classified as like when your bike or a car is about 20 years old, and that's the time that you could call it vintage. But in this era, you only call a bike or a car vintage when it's about 40 or 50 years old. When it's 20 years old, you can call them classics.
Alright.
So from vintage, from antique to vintage, classics, and
Classics.
then to modern. Yes.
This modern that you have mentioned, that could chopper be considered as modern?
Choppers can be yeah. I mean, there's an evolution to the chopper
Alright.
world. It's a very long story.
Okay, I'm
We're
quite
gonna
interested to know
talk
about
about
it.
that. I mean, just to give the audience an idea of what chopper really means, and some of them thought it was like a helicopter and all, but in the motorcycle world, choppers are okay. The history of choppers started way back in the 60s. In the United States, Harley Davidson is very popular but very expensive. Some of the American people wanted to have the same type of bike, but they can't afford to buy a Harley.
Alright.
So what they did was they try to find we call it a donor bike. So they get the
What is a donor
a donor bike is like a certain bike, say a Honda. It was very popular. Actually, they started with a Honda because Honda was one of the first bike that they used the engine to build a chopper. So these bikers used the engine, and then they built a chopper looking like a Harley.
Okay, it's like a replica.
It's a replica, but the great or the best part of building a chopper is it shows the personality of each and every individual, each and every owner of the bike, and it's being reflected on the chopper. For example, that one that we built for this guy from Calamba, Laguna, he likes ammunitions like guns and everything. So we designed his chopper having a lot of say some like bullets and all, painting with cowboy guns and everything like
Okay.
that.
So the bike could have a theme as well.
Yes. So it was something like a cowboy or a gunman thing rather. So choppers are being built that way.
Alright.
Yeah.
So aside from being a builder, so you design as well the bikes.
Well, yes, yeah.
Okay, it's great.
Actually, we can't start a bike without the design. I draw it on a piece of paper,
Okay.
but most of the time, the client would tell me this is how he wants it to be designed. So they'll just give me an idea, and I'll render a drawing on a piece of paper, and then I'll show it to him.
Present
and
it
then,
to
present it to them, and well, if they approve, and then we'll start it.
Start the business already. Okay, sir. Amongst these three bikes you've mentioned, the classic, the vintage, and the chopper, if you are to be asked, which do you enjoy most riding?
Well, classic and vintage actually just to give everybody an idea, it's still both motorcycles though. I mean, only the age is the difference. I mean, a chopper and the vintage, the scooters, is two different motorcycles. This has small wheels. The chopper's got big wheels or big tires, and this has a nostalgic feeling when you ride it because it shows. I mean,
Really?
the scooter itself speaks for itself. You know what I mean? It's a classic. I mean, you seldom see this type of scooters or motorcycle around. I think mostly anywhere you can go, there's not really much of this. I know there's a lot of people who owns something like it, but you don't get to see them riding it all the time.
Okay, so this is much of your option
Yes.
when you ride.
Yeah, but and the chopper is more of a macho thing.
Ah,
It's more of
okay.
a macho thing, and more of a bandido kind of look. I mean,
Ah,
you know
okay.
that. Yeah.
So how far have you reached with these bikes of yours? And do you go with a group as well?
I have a small group. They thought we were called Laguna Choppers, but actually it's the shop's name. We don't really have a club or anything like that. It's just a bunch of my friends and some of my cousins that we usually ride each year. Well, actually, we practically traveled around the country. We
Really?
went all the way to Leyte. Oh, with this one. I have another Lambretta that I used to go to Paris. And
Far.
yeah, we practically traveled all over the country
Over the country.
riding a vintage scooter.
So all of these are really quite an achievement. And so far, sir, what do you think is your best achievement aside from riding a bike, building a bike, designing a bike? Can you share with us your best achievement so far?
So far, I would say it's still the Manny Pacquiao bike.
Yes, the intriguing Manny Pacquiao.
Yes,
Bike.
because I would say it's a dream come true, and it's a miracle for me to build something for somebody who is as popular as Manny Pacquiao, especially with a small shop like this. I've been a dreamer,
Of
dreamer.
course.
and those dreams really came into reality. I mean,
Wow.
I never stopped praying until I never realized one day somebody would just come into the shop looking for a
And
bike.
ask you
Yeah.
to build the bike for
They never did. I was just telling them that I wanted to build Manny Pacquiao. It was just having a conversation to this person that I never realized he was an actual friend of Manny Pacquiao.
It's great to know.
And they were looking at me and they said, "What's your idea on the Manny Pacquiao bike that you were saying?" And so I have a piece of part of a Lambretta, and I said, "It will go like this," because I was thinking of making the Lambretta as the canvas for an artist. You use a canvas, but I'm going to use this. So I drew his sketches using pencil. So yeah, well, it started that way, and then the Manny Pacquiao's friend told me he wants to buy it,
Really?
and
You sold right away?
well, it took me about 10 months to build it. I mean,
To decide
because of
on
the
it?
artwork, not to decide, but
To build
to
the
build
bike.
it, to build the bike. It took us that long because at first he was when I was starting to draw everything on the bike. He was about to fight De La Hoya. Eventually he won. So I had to erase De La Hoya's face and then put the Hatton on the leg shield on this part. And I said, well, okay. So I got a lot of trials on that one. It was like not an overnight success.
Yeah, of
It
course.
took me a long time before they approved that, okay, we want that.
Yeah. It's almost a year, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
It
a
was
very
almost a
awesome
year.
achievement of yours, sir.
Yeah.
And because of this, you were introduced to different channel stations like Channel 7, Unang Hirit, and then Shop Talk via ANC, and of course the very recent Jessica Soho
Yes.
over Channel 7 once again.
That was a few days ago.
Could you share us with your experiences?
I had the same feeling. I mean, being interviewed by national TV personalities, especially like
Yes.
Miss Jessica Soho, Chikaroa, and all the guys from GMA GMA 718. Everything's the same. I mean, it's overwhelming. It's
Fulfilling.
very fulfilling,
Yes.
and it's a dream come true.
Wow.
Yes, yes it is.
Sir, this is a personal question. After the bike of Pacquiao, who's next?
Oh,
Do you have in mind already?
that was a question that was raised by Channel 5. I was supposed to restore a bike and introduce it to the president, President Noynoy Aquino. But right now, I'm planning to build a scooter for our new champion boxer, Donaire.
Wow.
Yeah, it's still a dream again.
Of course, why
so
not? Let's hope
we're
for
planning
that.
on it. We're planning on it, and because I would like to dedicate that to the people of Mindanao.
Wow.
I was hoping Flash Donaire and some of the people I would be drawing their faces into there would put their signature, and maybe we could auction it, and maybe we could use the money to donate the proceeds to the people of Mindanao who were devastated by Typhoon Pablo. So right now, that's my priority.
We will pray to that, sir, and let's
Thank you
hope
very
that
much.
it will make that could happen.
I hope so. I mean, I got Manny Pacquiao, so why not Donaire now, right?
No, why not?
I hope
Yes,
so.
of course. And with that, sir,
Right.
thank you so much for sharing with us all your business experiences and all your awesome achievements. I'm
you.
sure the listeners are happy to learn so much from you. And thank you for that. And of course, before we part ways, we would like to ask your generosity once again if you could share some tips to be a successful entrepreneur.
I got two things for all of you: passion and focus. It's everything. If you have the passion, put your heart into it, and focus, and you will, get to places that you can never imagine. And of course, dedicate everything to God, and everything will be. He will give it to you.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Definitely. And
So passion and focus.
passion and focus. You have to remember those. Dear listeners, passion and focus. And with that, sir, again, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Thank you
Hope to
very
see you
much.
once again. Have
Thank
a
you.
good day, sir.
You too.
Blame it on the boom boom.